Sound check. Test mic. Hello, welcome to the stream. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day. So yesterday I already uploaded the Archmage's build guide video, so you can check it out. And yeah, hope you have fun playing that build. And I already started setting up and building the skills and the Paragon board for the Blight. And I did a couple of testing yesterday, and the Shadowblight, unlike the other key passives, most of the passives that we have, the Affliction, Palansidik, what else, the Ossified Essence, and then Ratmus Vigors, most of them are giving buffs either to our minions or to a certain kind of builds like Bone or Overpowering or Cursing, and then Shadowblight for the Shadow Darkness and Shadow damage dealing skills. Now, Shadowblight, and I believe there was a change in according to the latest, no, not latest, to the PTR, the patch 2.3.0, that it is now properly scaling with our shadow damage. So right now I'm on my minion because I recorded the video yesterday. So why? Okay. Good. Alright. See you later, mages. So, the shadow damage, the shadow blight, as same as before, for every 8 times that an enemy receives shadow damage from you, like any type of shadow damage, whether it's a dot, a damage over time, which is the corrupting damage, or a pure shadow damage, we are affecting them after the enemy receives a shadow damage 8 times. The shadow blight will some kind of infects the enemies, and then this will deal damage to them. And they take an additional, and then the damage of the Shadow Blight increases by 450%. I believe the 450% already is already being added to the skill. Now, this shadow damage, the 209,368, this is a shadow damage. This is not a corrupting damage. Now, I've been thinking yesterday, this is a shadow damage, and this damage could crit. This damage could crit. And with the changes of our aspect right now, especially the blighted aspect, I've been kind of trying to understand how this aspect really works. It says here that consecutive hits with the Shadow Blight key passive, so meaning according to the Shadow Blight, Shadowblight is infected. When we deal shadow damage to the enemies, they are infected by the Shadowblight for 2 seconds. And because of our corrupting damage, every second when our enemies are inside of the Blight, then they are getting the shadow damage every second. And it's not only the Blight, the pool of the Blight, the shadow projectiles from the Ebon Piercer, and it doesn't matter how many Blights that you cast. And take note, because of the increase, right now I believe we have 51%, 39%, and then where is it? 22%. So this is approximately 61% chance for the Blight projectile to cast twice. And this chance of projectiles to cast twice is also benefits the projectiles of the Blight coming from the Ebon Piercer. So this Blight from the Ebon Piercer that shoots as a projectile, not unlike the Blight, it's kind of, how do you describe that? It's kind of lobing, and then it drops on the ground, and then it creates a pool of Blight. Unlike on the Ebon Piercer, this Blight goes all the way across the screen. So these are going to pierce the enemies. Now, this is another source of corruption damage. So if you take a look closely, if the Blight itself is, there's a chance that it will be cast twice. Then in just a matter, if we are hitting the enemies like 1.5 seconds, so in 2 seconds we are casting 3 times roughly. So if we are casting Blight, approximately 60% chance, so there's a high chance that our 3 attacks on 2 seconds will have another 1.5 attack. So we're roughly looking at, say, 4 attack of Blight. And that is the attack that we, basically the cast that we do. So 3 attacks, and then the projectiles that there's a 50% chance, so meaning the Blight will be approximately 4.5 that we are going to inflict the enemy with the Blight, and that is including the Blight coming from the Ebon Piercer. So that's an additional, say, another 4.5. So in just a matter of 2 seconds, we are inflicting shadow damage over time 9 times for 2 seconds. And it doesn't stop there. We have the damage over time, the corruption damage, when we cast the Corpse Explosion and when we cast the Soul Rift. The Soul Rift is dealing damage to the enemies every second also. So this is also a corruption damage. And then we have another corruption damage here. But this is not affected by our attack speed. It's just this one, the Corpse Explosion, the Blighted Corpse Explosion, and then the Soul Rift are just every second. So in 2 seconds, we have +2. Then we have 11 shadow damage inflicting. Now, according to the Shadowblight, for every 8 times that the enemy receives shadow damage, they will take an additional shadow damage. And this one could crit. And upon testing yesterday, and it does. And yesterday I was using the Bone Prison for the increased damage, right? And apparently the Plunging Darkness, the Blight, my assumption was incorrect, because the way the mechanic of the Plunging Darkness is that the Blight on the Bone Prison, it says that we can take a look on the Codex of Power. It says that the Plunging Darkness, it says here that Blight deals increased damage while Bone Prison is active. Now, I don't know if which one is correct. If you take a look closely here, it says here Blight deals damage, but on the aspect it says blights. So I thought that all the blights, including the blight, as long as there's a bone prison, our blight that's being spawned by our blight core skill will also receive this increase in damage. Unfortunately, it will only increase the blight inside of the bone prison. It's like the same mechanic of the blood spear that you're overpowering inside of the bone prison. So the enemies must be inside of the blight inside of the bone prison, and then you cast the blight inside of it, and therefore the blight inside of the blighted area of the bone prison is the only one that will receive the increased damage from the plunging darkness. So technically it's not just you cast your bone prison here and then you will even though you're casting your blight here and then your bone prison is here, your blight here is going to increase in damage. No, they need to be inside of the blight, inside of the bone prison. Now, if our assumption is correct that if the silly Shadowblight is really going to crit, then that is going to be amazing. And I've been trying to test yesterday and I was so amazed on how the build works. It's not strong, but it's fun to play. And it deals a lot of amount of damage, and I will show you. And before I show you what is the changes that I made on the gear, so if we want this to crit, so I changed the paragon to change the blood begets blood with the scent of death, and then I place the essence here. So I have essence for the increased damage, and then I used a I believe this is the two-handed sword from my minion, so I retempered this, having the critical strike damage. And then with blight projectiles, I compared the damage with the two-handed weapon axe that has the implicit damage over time. So that also increases the damage of the shadow. Unfortunately, the Shadowblight, and apparently this one still outperformed the shadow damage, the damage over time of the axe. So considering that we have critical strike damage here, the only problem here with this build is that it still require I know we are relying on Q rune, and I have Seer here. There are some instances that I'm having a hard time to keep up with the damage of the enemies. So we'll just do 75, so just to show you how interesting this build is. And let's check armor resistances. We're okay, so we don't have to. Let's not use any instances for now. So I'm using the Tyrant Bane here. This is the same that I used yesterday. So, and then I have this, the Decay. The Decay that I tried on the previous season, but I don't find it really strong. And now it says here, each time that the key passive deals damage to the enemies, it increases the Shadowblight's damage, and it's talking about the shadow damage within 10 seconds, and this will stack to 5 times. We have 46, so after inflicting the enemies within 10 seconds, upon inflicting the enemies with Shadowblight, and we can inflict the enemies with Shadowblight in just a few seconds as long as we keep hitting the enemies with shadow damage. And we have a lot of sources of shadow damage, and that will stack up to 5 times. So we're talking about, if you get the 50%, so we're talking about an additional 250% increase in shadow damage of the Shadowblight. Now, going back to this blighted aspect, it says here that every consecutive hits that we inflict with Shadowblight, we deal this increase in damage for each hit, resetting after 6 seconds. So the way I understand this blight, this is now, it looks like it's kind of weak, but this is a very strong aspect, because when the Shadowblight so like I have explained a while ago, we can inflict the enemies with 9 shadow damage ticks per second. And because of that, we can inflict Shadow Blight for almost like 8 times. So we can inflict Shadow Blight damage. We can activate the Shadow Blight shadow damage, the 8 hit requirement. In this one, for every damage that we do, it will keep on adding and adding the 70% damage. It will only reset after 6 seconds. There's no meter that I have seen so far that shows that how much damage that this Blight is doing, unlike before that it will show like some kind of oh, you have this 10-second counter that you are now getting the buff. Unlike before, when you inflict when you trigger the Shadow Blight, the blighted aspect is now activated, and then you have this 10-second of buff, and then it wears off, and then it will reactivate again. This one is a continuous damage buff as long as the Shadow Blight key passive is always activated at all times, and that is not hard to do. Now, to show you how and what's happening here, again, what's happening here is that we are dealing the damage from the Shadow Blight, not just the corruption damage. The way this build works now, this mechanic, this build that I have trying to do, is we are letting the Shadow Blight shadow damage to crit. The shadow damage, the corrupting damage that we are dealing from the Soul Rift, from the Blight, from the Ebon Piercer, and from the Blighted Corpse Explosion, from the Blighted Corpse Explosion, they are just the driver in order to inflict the Shadow Blight and to stack that 8 time, in order to reach that 8 time requirement of the Shadow Blight for it to create and do this shadow damage. And now let's see the build in action. I'm using still the Void, and watch closely how much damage that we are doing with this build and how fast is this one is going to kill the monsters. The more, excuse me, yeah, see, that's still the problem with the more that we are dealing damage to the enemies, the more that they are going to get the damage from the Shadow Blight. It still really hurts, especially if we don't have maximum resistance. I don't want to use it right now because I'm running out of I think I know the reason why. Let me because I was using this build for the minions, the infusion catalyst. The catalyst is not placed on the blighted on the blight skill, so I'm not getting that those buff. Let's move it here and then let's do it again. So still the problem with of this build now is survivability. So the combat tax, I activated the crit damage so that you can see how much damage that we are doing. So again, unlike the corrupting damage, it's a slow damage, it's a build-up damage, it's a momentum type of damage. But upon playing, the only the strongest that I have seen for when I played the Blight was on season 7, because there are some mechanics that really scale the damage of the damage over time, but season 8 and then I'm it's kind of weak. So right now it is now dealing crit damage of, I think, maximum up to 3 billion damage. But as you can see, the damage is now not as slow as the damage over time, as long as the enemies are getting inflicted. If we are inflicting the enemies, that's why the more the enemies, the more that we are inflicting with the shadow damage, the more that we can proc the Shadowblight key passive shadow damage. Right now we're using the void aspect, which helps on grouping the enemies together. Again, these spiders are really annoying, especially when they're hitting you, if they are hitting you all together. Along with the crossbow. Where are the enemies? These spider trash mobs, they're not an ordinary trash mob spiders. Like, they can deal a lot of damage because they can deal, especially the cold ones. It can chill you and then it can freeze you, and then they hit multiple projectiles at once. See, one projectile, see, it's only one, but it can throw 3 projectiles at once. That's why these spiders are, see how many projectiles that they throw. And it still requires momentum because you need to keep on building your shadow damage to the enemies as much as possible. And I'm using Seer Rune on I'm using Q Rune on the Seer Rune, so after the Seer Rune activated the Q Rune, so I have to, it will wait for another 3 seconds in order to the Seer Rune to activate again. So that's the only problem. Probably if we have the Tam Rune, probably that will help on efficiently and still our issue here is can still one-shot us. I have only a few incense left. Here we go again. $75. We are now close to $73. Darkness. This one. One more. Let's go for the life. Oh, this is nice. What is our attack speed right now? 61 attack speed, and then critical strike chance of 34.4. It's still low enough if we are going to deal, well, if once we use the precision elixir, we can get an additional critical strike chance plus an additional critical strike damage. So you can see the full the potential of the build, that it can deal a lot of damage through critical strike damage on letting the shadow damage of the Shadowblight to crit. So what I'm thinking now here is I want to try something. Maybe if we can drop the damp, and then we use the darkness skill back again, because there's another way. I've been thinking also. So our problem is going to be essence. So if I'm going to drop maybe hardened bones, and we can replace this with an aspect called the shielding storm, and then we're going to use bone storm instead of the soul rift. And this one, we get an additional damage reduction, plus we get an increased attack speed and critical strike chance. Okay. Our only problem is the essence.
Impeccable.
There is another aspect. I believe this is a resource aspect. That's the problem. It's called the the Osseous Gale. See, this is an offensive aspect. We can place it here or on the ring. But if we're going to use the Osseous Gale, the problem here is we're gonna lose some aspect here. Either we change the sword with a one-hand weapon and then an offhand, so that we can place the Osseous Gale here so that we can retain this one, though we are going to lose around 35% multiplier damage. Is that okay? I don't think so, just to increase the Bone Storm duration. If the Bone Storm duration is, we can sustain it. The only problem here is the essence. If we have the Loom Rune, considering that we are very good on getting the barrier from the Bone Storm. Let's see. Now we get 20% increase critical strike chance plus attack speed. What are you doing? Actually, okay, because we lost the another shadow damage that we can inflict, we lost also the multiplier damage, and we are talking about 24. Why 24% multiplier? It's because the level of our Reaper's Pursuit is now 12, giving 24% damage. We lost 24. We lost a 24% multiplier just from removing the Soul Rift. Now, there is another one. It's just right now, I feel like I think if we need more essence, then we need the lucky hit on resource here. If we're not going to use the what you call this? If we're not going to use the Soul Rift. However, how much damage I'm going to lose if I use the Damp or the Decay? Let's try if I'm going to remove the Decay and replace this to make our Bone Storm to be a shadow damage. Now it is a darkness skill, therefore I have only 30, 29, 28, 27, 24. Shoot. Oh, close. Come on, lucky hit resource. One more. I'm broke. There you go. That was close. I'm broke. Now, if we are good on essence, we can replace the Loom Rune with Rune. it is very clear that the decay is also a potent aspect that you need in order for the shadow damage of the blight is we're not hitting billions anymore. So we're only like 1, 700, 800. So now we replace damned with decay.
May your road be filled with wonders.
And then next what we're going to try is Blighted and Decay on the ring. The combination of the dam, the combination of the it is really, they are more potent combining all together. And then when you have the soul rift, you have this an additional 15% damage from the soul rift. Though you have a very good sustaining barrier. That's the only thing. We'll see up to the single target, which is the boss. Oops. But it is amazing the how the barrier, the sustaining barrier from the bone storm is really doing. It's really effective. We are basically like unkillable. I think there's no difference if we are going to I mean, we can try. It's just we need more gold to craft. We need we have the barrier, we are unstoppable, we are the ultimate shadow killing machine. Like, we are fearless, we are unstoppable, we don't fear. Like, even we have 2 Hellbinder here. Like, oh, bring it on. Bring your Hellbinders. It's nothing. It's like we lose the damage, like almost half, in exchange for survivability. Let's see on the single target. Probably we're just gonna stand. Oosh. Bad timing. But it's working though. The essence from the lucky hit. Let's dance, Bramble. Sorry, but we cannot sustain. Unlike the Soul Rift, we have a temper that we can increase its duration. That's the only difference. Actually, if we can sustain the barrier or the Bone Storm, yeah, we're not hitting billions anymore. Just a few times. But it's working. It's strong. You're durable, but you don't have a big chunk of DPS. So now, no, it's the Bone Storm. Unless, what if we use the leadless wall? But the way that build work is
Fine indeed.
do we have infusion that gives resource? Grants 20% and this is power. Well, the problem with this one, we're going to lose 2 denial. And we're going to lose the either, yeah, we need 2 denials and we need the tranquility, the tranquil stone for the unstoppable. So that's another problem. We still have the metamorphosis here. Imperfectly balanced is how much? 5, 20. If we master crit that imperfectly balanced, that could go up to maybe 5, 6, 30% increased damage at master crit twice. This is 248. $15 damage reduction while you have a barrier. Unfortunately, you don't have any barrier anymore. Soul Rift deals 120% of its shadow damage per second to surrounding enemies. If I'm going to use the Blighted, I'm going to place it here. And unfortunately, it's not that strong. Even though if we use the leadless wall, we will have too many Bone Storm, 100%. We can try. Hey, I don't have a leadless wall. Huh? Really? I remember I saved one. Where is it? Huh? I didn't keep any leadless wall, or I didn't got anything because there was no it was not an ancestral item. Really? Huh. Is this the one that I used?
See some steel you need?
With 140 on... How much is the multiplier damage? If I'm going to use this, switch the... Then I'm going back to Seer and then Cure Room.
Beware the envious, my friend.
Now that we are adding shadow damage, 40% chance to deal shadow damage. Let's see. Again, we're losing the multiplier damage from the dam. However, thus the effect of this unique two-handed scythe is going to... Oh shoot. Wrong skill. Let's bring back... We need the Soul Rift back again. Do you wanna be a snowman? Do you wanna get Elsa again? Oh, did I change the ultimate bone storm to blighted? I think not. Think not. Yeah.
Sublime.
We need to farm gold soon. What time is it? Probably we're gonna farm gold tomorrow. Supposedly today, but I want to try and test something here on the Blight. Okay, let's see. Do you wanna be a snowman? Yeah, I'm dead. Do you wanna be a dead guy? Give me a second. Ah, makes sense. We lost a lot of life. I think we might need a bottled wind. I mean, again, this is really intriguing. Like, you don't have any 10k life, but it's like you're not 10k life, then one shot. Nah. You lose a lot of multiplier damage the moment that you use this unique two-handed sword. It's really different. Shall we bring back? I feel like, or we are okay. I'm thinking if I'm going to remove the fractured core and then replace it with the bottle wind. Excuse me. The damn aspect on one of the ring. Now the question here is, like, after this one, let's try one nightmare dungeon. The thing is, if this build is going to be efficient on farming nightmare dungeon, because this build still requires momentum. Now you can really see the difference with the combination of the Blighted and the two-handed weapon, decay, and then the damp. See, we were able to reach 4 billion damage. I think with all buffs and most of the I think I need to bring back the hardened bones again.
Will be tested now.
We are so weak without the barrier. Look at that burst damage, like that is incredible. Sorry, but Elsa is not working. Do you want to be a snowman? We're gonna be a dead man. See, the damage is like, at first it's like it's not dealing that much damage, but upon inflicting all, keep casting the Blight, casting your corpse explosion, now the damage over time is infecting the enemies every second, and then you keep adding those damage over time. The more faster that you attack, the more that you are throwing your shadow damage to your enemies. Therefore, you are building, the more that you build up the shadow damage, then the faster that you are creating the shadow damage from the Shadowblight. Therefore, more explosive damage. Especially when we disable this damage resistance. Now we got 2 stacks, and then now that we don't have any we don't have the blood orbs anymore. All we need to do is just keep on using your potion. Since you are efficient, the Soul Rift is efficient on refilling the potion. Just when you get damage, just use the potion right away so that you are always healed. Come here. Join the fun. Oh my goodness. Where are the silly? We need to kill some trash mobs again. Oh, there you go. Oh, Elias! Thank you for summoning right in front of me. We're cap on 75 already. Oh, we made it to 76. Where can I still get some 3 points? And I'm planning to add it here to the necrotic fortitude for some. Barrier chance. Is there anything? Maybe we can grab. Oops. We can grab 1 point there.
We the pod.
We need gold tomorrow. We're gonna farm infernal hordes. Oh no. I'm thinking to wanna try 80. And let's see. I got a free buff though. I got the free incenses. What is this? Dexterity, maximum life, and then that's the soothing spices. And then this is Redamine Buzz. Okay. We got a free buff. We didn't get the soothing spices though. Oh, the sage whisper for the intelligence, but it's fine. I forgot to equip to replace the shielding storm with hardened bones. So many damage resistance elite here. At least the lucky hit on barrier is helping a bit. Six elite. Two and a half minute, approximately 40 seconds. Oh, 40 seconds, 40%. We need attack speed here. And on the Ebon Piercer, if you are lucky to get a double GA on the Reaper's Pursuit and the chance for the projectiles to cast twice. Now with the help of the precision, for more adding a crit chance and critical strike damage. So imagine if we have the Sage Whisper for the intelligence, then it will increase our damage a bit. Panic button again, panic button, panic button, panic button. That's what happened when you panic. You open your skill tree. Whoa, whoa, no, no, no. That was close. Did we die? So we haven't died so far, so... That's it, we're just gonna stand here. Ooh, did I see 6? You know that 6 came from the when the health of the enemy is already low, plus I think when you have so many minions around you. Where's that other glyph? I want to level this one also. Can we try to make you 76? Darkness, Scourge, then Sacrificial. Then we have Essence and then Amplify. Okay. Now, let's bring this item back on. Critical strike damage, chance to heal. Blah, blah, blah. Probably we'll try to find a one-hand sword with crit damage. Let's see.
Thanks, friend.
Oh, since we have a lot of incense and we have our elixir, how about let's open
The finest cuts and clarity. What suits you? Fine indeed.
Vex rune.
My magics await your return.
We can use the Ahu here. Maybe it's better compared to this one. The only thing is, I think we're good with our resource on lucky hit. Okay, let's see our efficiency on any strong room. Gold reserve. The gold doesn't give really a lot of gold though. And you need to find the stash. Anyway, let's see 22. We start at 22 million gold. Can we try an interesting thing here? Where's the floaty bubble? Show me some teleporting thing. I want some teleporty. That is not a teleporty that I'm looking forward to. What? Let's leave them alone. I'm not going to wait for that curse. Whoa. Is it over? 9, 8. That's it. Greed Shrine, of course. Greed Shrine with the Cursed Shrine event is good, because the more that you kill the enemies, then the more that you are going to build up that explosion pile of gold. Where are the enemies? And it's done. The pile of gold is done. We're gonna try tomorrow if this is still efficient on Infernal Hordes. Oh yeah, and speaking of critical strike chance, we can also try use the Gar rune. Slay, oh, that is now my 4-day, sir. 4-day. Oh shoot, we need to be careful on the shrine. No shrine. No shrine. Tal, I believe Tal is a legendary amulet rune. $9 million gold. Oh, Tal is rare. Sorry. Yeah, if you're going to farm gold, Inferno Hordes is much more better in terms of gold per minute. Nice, you got a Horadric strong room. Oh, by the way, tomorrow. I wonder how much damage is our Archmages is going to do once the patch is going to be live tomorrow. The patch is going to fix the bug of the Shadow Mages are not getting the buff from their first upgrade. I wonder if the explosion is still happening on the enemies that were already hit. If you hit the enemies here and then you move to the next pack, are they still getting that explosion? The Jewel Guardian. Oops, 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 oops. Ah, that was too slow, sir. Hitting. Sometimes you're fast, sometimes you're slow. Oh, this is the Horadric, this is the gem reserve. We need the gem. We need the gem also. How can you zoom in on these enemies if you need to pick up those? What if Dante is not picking up? What if our pet is not really efficient on picking up the loot on the ground? Then, Dante, are you picking up those rubies? Huh, Dante? Whenever I hear the name Dante, I always remember the movie called The Count of Monte Cristo. Edmond Dantes. Can we get this one? It's already here. Huh? Oh, yeah. I thought I left the the item. And we have to remember that we are still dealing, and we are still have a decent corrupting damage besides the shadow damage that we are critting from the Shadowblight. Oradric Strong Room. Yes sir, why not? Okay, last run for tonight. So tomorrow let's farm some gold because we're poor. We are broke. Actually, the more the enemies that we hit, the more that we are proccing that lucky hit restore resource. So even though we don't have this Soul Rift active, we can still gain our resource back. Not again. Are you downloading the update again? What the heck? I hope you're not downloading the update again, sir. That is very annoying. Because somehow my Windows, whenever the Windows has an update, yeah, more lag please. Did I lose my frames? Give me a second. Wow, this is horrible for my last run, sir. Why you are doing this to me? Why? See, I only got 5. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. What the heck? This is good though, with 49%. Where's the Hellbent Commander? I don't know what the heck is that lag. Yeah, speaking of the update, so usually when my desktop have an update, I don't it says download and install the update, especially the big and major update of Windows. I try not to, unless it is going to be manually installed by the system, and then it will just ask you to, oh, restart the system in order to install the updates. Then it is a successful installation of the update. But if I click the download and install, it looks like it's okay, but it's not on my desktop. It will successfully download and install the update, and then it will ask you to restart. Then after restarting and then after completing the update, it will say at the end, after 100%, it say, oh, we ran out of a problem and we have to restart your computer. And then after a short while, oh, we ran out, it's still the same message, and then it will still say, oh, we ran with a problem, then we have to restart your system, and then it will now say, sorry, but we have to undo the update. So it's going to uninstall the previous update and then bring back the old update of your system. And I don't know if a while ago if the Windows is trying to make some update, because when it does, most of the time your desktop will prioritize. I don't know if there is some kind of a control, but that's what I know, like when there is an update with the Windows, because it uses the internet connection to install the updates. So what happened is it prioritizes the Windows update than whatever apps or thing that you are using that uses internet. It will prioritize the speed of the update, and especially if you're playing games that relies on internet connection, so that will happen as well, especially that I'm streaming, so it will require a maximum output of good internet connection and basically the data as well.
Something in the fort has followed us inside these awful tunnels, or been here for long ages. It's now newly woken. I thought to flee, to abandon my fellow crusaders, to think for myself for once.
Come on, you didn't pick up those, Dante.
I do
Dante.
smell death in the air.
Dante. What's going on, Dante?
Will come for me soon.
We're getting sabotage here, and you're not picking up the items and the crafting materials, Dante. What's going on, Dante? Ah, another strong room. What do I need to find with our oboes? Amulet. A good armor? I may have some use for you, sir. Yay, 35. We got 35.
Return soon. Fine indeed.
But in a single run of wave 10 of Infernal Hordes and just grabbing all the gold on the spoils, we'll get approximately 40 to 60 million, depends on how fast you are killing, and of course the chance that you are getting a better boons, which is the best of all is the Hellborn. What are we going to gamble? What if we find the grandfather?
Hello, Shinhan. That's not a bad pull, that. Hello. Too bad, friend.
Huh? I went up on the two-handed axe. Two-handed axe.
All finished, are you?
I have so many items here now. I think I have enough life, intelligence, life. 240, 240, 260. Yeah, I think I'm okay. Because I still want... If we can still play...
Much thanks, friend.
If we can still play the what's that? Blood Spear. So I think the only way to really scale the damage of this one, we need attack speed in order to inflict more damage over time. But these aspects right here, they are the perfect combination. Losing of these aspects by replacing them with maybe we can replace the dam with what's that? The Ring of the Starry Skies, but we're gonna lose some power. And then 22, so we have 39 here. So if we masterwork this all the way to, maybe we need, I think we don't need to hit the chance. I think we can get approximately, probably at this temper affix, maybe we could get up to 42%. And then plus this one, we have approximately, so we can get around 66%. I think that's okay. So imagine if we got that at least 40% here, then if we masterwork this all the way to 12, probably it will go up to 50%, then 50%, then you have the 22, maybe at masterwork to 12, that might be 25. So at least if you are maybe 75%, so at least 4 out of your cast, it's always a double projectile of the Blight. So right now we are clearing pit 80.
My friend.
Pit 80. I don't know how fast. I'm gonna check how fast we are, because Take note, this is already, the essence is amplify is 85 and this one is 85 because that is it came from the our minions. And I check whether should we maximize the intelligence for the Scourge. Upon checking this damage, the damage, even though this one adds more corrupting damage, the damage, like those flat damage, they are more potent than increasing the Scourge. However, this one is important because this is the shadow damage that we are adding on the damage to our Shadowblight. We almost have everything actually. Though this Wither, this is not increasing the damage. This is only for the corrupting damage. Okay, but it's still good because we're still doing this damage of the corrupting damage from our Blight. So we have two sources of damage. One is the corrupting damage, and then the one that can the shadow damage that can crit. And I still wonder whether if we're going to use the grandfather here, is it going to be more potent and then replacing maybe Damp with moving the Blighted here to the Damp and then grandfather here? Maybe, but we can also check if we have the grandfather. And then speaking of attack speed, I don't know if I have the materials. I want to try the what's that? Is it what's that called? Myriad. I need topaz. This one. And I think we can cast the ultimate skill, the Soul Rift, within 10 seconds. If we can do this, we can maintain this 30% increased attack speed, and then that is, and according to the bug, according to the patch, tomorrow, they say that the Myriad Stone attack speed here is now going to add on our attack speed, it will now add and will stack on our attack speed on our stat. So if that is the case, we will reach up to 90% increase in attack speed. So that is, we are very fast. Well, we can still craft this already. We can already craft this, the Myriad, where are you? This one? We are just 5k, just a few k away for the topaz, so that we can test tomorrow and see if we can really boost the damage of the Shadowblight shadow damage. All right, that's it for me today, and tomorrow we're gonna farm Infernal Hordes, and let's see if this build is very good on the Infernal Horde, if it's good on the Infernal Hordes with this setup. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow, and have a good one. Bye.